Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this does not work. Thank God for the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys because they give us something to talk about. That's right. We got news to talk about because of our Dallas Cowboys. This is one of those things that you actually have to look at and say, thank God for all the drama we get from the Cowboys because it gives us talk. We can talk about it. So the NFL, unlike any of the other sports, is able to do business because it's their off season. Baseball is shuttered because they can't start the spring season until after we get over this. Basketball, mid-season, done. Hockey, out of here. Major League Soccer, boom. But the Dallas Cowboys and the NFL are fortunate that their season doesn't start till next September, that they can actually start workouts the end of July and not miss a beat. So we're fortunate to at least be able to talk about this stuff. And currently, the draft will still go on in the end of April. So we have things to go through. Last week was free agent frenzy. It's hard to believe that it was only a week ago that we were going, oh my God, the Cowboys have franchise tag Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper's a free agent. We're going to lose that guy. But since that time, of course, we signed Gerald McCoy and we got Clinton Dix as well. And the Cowboys, they are still out there shopping. They have, well, going into this deal, they had $24 million in cap space and they could generate more if they go ahead and get a long-term deal for Dak. They've been talking and working with Demontre Poe, trying to get a deal worked out and so on. But it doesn't stop there because what the Cowboys are doing is symptomatically trying to fill all the holes in free agency. Not trying to blow everybody out of the water with the big names and stuff like going for Giovanni and Clowney or anything, who wants too damn much money, but by systematically getting pieces that will fit their system. So the Cowboys have just signed Blake Bell. Blake Bell, who is a blocking tight end for the most part, has played, was originally drafted by San Francisco in 2015, I believe. Fourth round pick, I think 117th pick in the draft. Played for San Francisco for 2 years, played 1 year for Minnesota, played a year at Jacksonville, and was at Kansas City last year. As far as his statistics go, he's been targeted 64 times. Not a whole lot. 38 receptions, not bad. He's over 50% in completions. 424 yards, and his average 11.2 yards per reception. Interesting. Okay. Has 0 touchdowns. But again, he is going to be that blocking tight end, that guy that you need when it's time to pound the rock with Zeke Elliott. And of course, you're going to look at Blake Jarwin as a blocking, not so much tight end, but more as a passing threat. So we're beginning to see how the team is shaping up and getting themselves ready for the season. So what I actually like this because when you look at the season, or you look at the Dallas Cowboys from what they lost in free agency, okay? We know we lost a lot on the defensive line. Of course, losing Malik Collins to the Raiders, losing Robert Quinn, who had 11 and a half sacks, to the Bears. 11 and a half sacks in 14 games. That's hard to replace. But you look that they've been trying to fill that. Of course, getting Gerald McCoy. Of course, doing Antoine Woods, the restricted tender, which basically is like $750,000. It's chump change that you're paying him. Having Randy Gregory, who is going to be applying for reinstatement, and getting Gerald McCoy and possibly adding Demontre Poe. They've gone through and said, okay, we're going to take care of getting bodies that are competent on the defensive line. Safety. They lost Jeff Heath, of course, to the Raiders. And you look at that and say, okay, we got Clinton Dix. At worst case, you got to say that's at least a wash. But I think that's an improvement from where we were. No shade on Jeff Heath because Jeff Heath didn't get the amount of credit that he should have because he was actually an outstanding citizen and actually played really, really well with the tools that he had. So they've gone through and done that. The area that you really haven't addressed so much so far is actually cornerback. So now you've got tight end situated there. You look at Blake Jarwin, who got his deal. He's the starter. You now have blocking tight ends and stuff in the mix. Of course, we may need to now address center. I still think Joe Looney can slide down there, or you have a competition with Connor McGovern, the governor, and see how he fits into the system as well. So you've got to, as a casual fan, I know Eagles fans are saying they've had a better offseason than what we have, but sometimes it's the small moves and the quiet moves that end up being more productive. People didn't think that signing Randall Cobb or Robert Quinn were going to be as big as they were. See, people focused in on, man, the Seattle Seahawks, they traded for, Giovanni and Clowney, they gave up just a third round pick and two guys. That's a major move. That's huge, right? But the bigger move was actually that sixth round pick that we sent to Miami for Robert Quinn. So sometimes, some of this stuff is just done with smoke and mirrors, and you never know who is going to end up being a guy who becomes a baller in your system. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. So I'm happy about this. I'm happy about this. So we're going to see what we can find out again about Blake Bell. See if we can find a little more on him. But hey, we got another warm body for the Dallas Cowboys. And guys, listen, there's stuff that's going on. I just want to try and give you guys some hints and things or some tips. Understand there's a lot of people out there right now that are worried about, what am I going to do through this site? They do have the stimulus bill that passed and all that, which is great. You'll get, hopefully you get a little bit of money from it. Unemployment will be there. So there are tools out there, but don't just look for, what you're going to get from the government and so forth. It's great. Anything that you get is helpful, but be proactive. Okay. If you have to hunker down and you're not without work, don't have work right now. If you know that you're going to have financial problems in paying your bills, listen, everybody understands this right now. Go to your landlord and say, listen, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent, or I can only pay, 50% of it or half of it or whatever. Go to your mortgage company and say, hey, I'm not going to have my mortgage payment because I'm laid off. Same thing with your car payment. In some cases, they'll say, don't worry about it. We can defer it and basically extend your loan, because that's what I've had to do because I got rental properties. They can extend the loan just by 3 months, and maybe you pay interest only, like, you can do there. Or they'll reduce payment. My daughter, who lives in a condo and things, I said to her, listen, talk to your landlord. And it's a big complex and all that. And they say, what can you afford to pay? So these are tools out there and things that you can do. And the fact that if you're actually hunkering down, see, for me, my big ass truck gets about 11 miles to the gallon. 11 miles to the gallon. So usually I'm spending like $100 to $200 a week in gas. I ain't spending that now because I'm at home. And there's plenty of stuff that you can do at home. This is not like when I grew up, okay? You can listen to me here on YouTube. You got the television and Netflix and chill and all this stuff. You got Game Boy and PlayStation and all this stuff. You can talk to people just like we're doing here. Because a lot of you go to work and you just take a damn nap. Or you're just surfing the damn web. Or you're just carrying on conversations with other people. Mike's laughing at me.
No, I'm laughing because I do that when you're driving.
See? That's Mike's like, yeah. Look, Michael's like... that's all. Because he's got his headset on. I'm sitting there carrying on a conversation, thinking he's listening, and he ain't listening because he's just like, whatever, Dad.
Or you carry a conversation with the YouTube land too.
Right. Exactly. There's so many things that you can do. Do those things so we can get past this thing and get on to football season. Because if you don't, it's going to take a lot longer. But seriously, be proactive on what you can do. Because if you do these things instead of waiting until the second and you don't have the rent, the landlord or the mortgage company would rather you take care of this stuff early so they know what to expect, because all these big companies and stuff, they're getting financial help. They are getting deferments on their loans and things. So it's basically needs to pass down the system. And these are tools that are available to everybody. You just need to go out there and use them and get yourself together. Because if you do those things, then if you get that check for $1,200, then you're just worried about getting food and eating and staying home. And that's how we get through this thing. So I'm not trying to preach or anything else, but just trying to give you some tips on getting through this thing, because we got to get through this thing together. All right. So Cowboys signed Blake Bell. Hot damn.
Well,